It's Frosty, Heidi, and Frank on 95.5 KLOS.
All right, let's get him in here. It's Psychic Wayne.
We've been waiting for this all morning.
Oh, there he is.
Hey!
Who
Come on
knew
over
a
here.
psychic would be here?
Oh, look at this.
Sit down right there.
Oh, right.
It's good to see you, Psychic Wayne.
I'm going to sue. It's burning my hand.
Oh, really?
We have no money. It's a really, as you know.
How you doing? And you also dressed up for Halloween, or are you just
I tried.
Top Gun pilot.
Yeah, I'm
Maverick.
Tom Cruise.
Hi.
Tom Cruise from Top Gun?
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah, very cool.
So, from what I understand, you've been in contact with our producer, Sammy, and she sent you a bunch of stuff about us. Is it involve numerology or astrology? How did you come up with these charts about us?
It's astrology.
Astrology.
Yes. And see, the name Psychic Wayne, I don't consider myself a psychic. I don't talk to dead people or anything like that. Sinbad gave me that name one day at the radio years ago, so it just kind of stuck.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, if Sinbad names you, keep it.
Yeah, you got to keep it.
Of
It's
course.
a rule of Sinbad.
Yeah.
Right.
So astrology is based on
When
what?
we were born?
Yeah,
Like
the moment
sign.
you were born, you bring it to a fingerprint, and we can see everything about pretty much what goes on. And as the planets transit, it reflects in your chart.
So everyone born at that time on that day would have the same personality traits or
Well, I've
whatever?
never heard of anybody being born at the same time in the same place. But of course, somebody in China may have been born at the same time you were. You know? But that's
Oh,
So
well,
do you do it?
Also has to do geographically exactly the place you were born. not
right.
only
It's the
time.
place, the time, and the moment, the day. It's that moment.
So that's why maybe some people end up as a couple and it works, and some people don't. You're like, oh, Scorpio and Libra, no bueno. Or is it like that? Like we should be together, we shouldn't be together?
Sort of, but that's oversimplifying it. That's just the
That's
sun.
what I do.
Well, that's the easiest thing to do. That's only the sun.
Okay.
You got a moon, you got a Venus, you got a Mars, you got all of that stuff. And what's really interesting, I did a chart for your show. and
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Give us some of the results from
What a
the chart,
treat.
the show chart. Now, is this going to tell us our past, our present, and our future together?
Well,
I mean, is that
everything has a birth.
okay?
So the birth of this show.
Sammy was asking that. Explain. I didn't know why you were
This
asking
was a
that.
big surprise
Do you want
to
to
us.
know when did you guys first start working together?
Sammy always
When-
prevents birth. Everything.
Okay, this is exciting.
It really, really is.
Okay.
So, September 25th, 2000, yeah?
Yeah,
Apparently.
yes, that's right.
She researched it.
That's
That's
when
right. Our
Right.
our first show together.
So you started at 10, right? I had
Yes.
10, right?
10 o'clock.
Right.
I had 12 initially, and I changed it to 10 o'clock. So you guys can't see it, but the
Oh,
charts
dang, that looks
show
official.
you
Yeah.
have.
It's like
you
a
see
gas
that
cap.
triangle in the middle there.
Yeah.
That's what we call a grand trine. And your grand trine is in air signs. Air signs rules media, it rules communication, and the biggest media mogul in the world has this too, Oprah. She was born with
My hero. She's my hero, Wayne.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Okay.
she was. And not only that, what's really interesting about the Grand Trine is I can see how come you guys have been around so long. Like, this is 2000 and you still are making imprints on the world because you have Saturn, which rules long term, and you have Neptune, which rules television. You got into television. And you have Jupiter. It makes things big. So your show
You're
was...
probably Jupiter.
Dang.
I'm getting bigger as the years go by. Physically
It's the
larger.
donuts.
Well, you know what's really interesting about that? You were born with Jupiter and Mercury next to each other.
Is that good or bad?
No, it's pretty good because you're jovial, and behind your jokes and behind your comedy.
Or tears?
Or cheers.
Well,
no,
yeah,
sorry.
that and some real wisdom.
Oh, see, yes, yes. Please go on.
And this is what kind of blew me too. On September 6, 2016, you came back.
I did. I was away for a while, and
You came back?
I was invited back, and here I am.
Those
weren't.
two planets,
Well-
Jupiter and Mercury, which you were born with, those two planets were together when you came back, bringing that touch back to the...
Well, that's
To the
weird.
show.
There
Together
you go.
forever.
The moment you were born.
Wow.
that's nice.
You were born again.
I got the
Well,
stars.
the show was born again.
Yes. That's right.
The stars were realigned.
We got Psychic Wayne with us. He got all our
cool.
numbers, like our birth time and birth date and birthplace, to put a chart together for the show, and that's what he's reading right now. And so that was the show. Any other individual? Like I said, he was Jupiter, like for Heidi or for me.
Well, I did. I went down the rabbit holes.
Oh, good. I love it.
Well, I'll get to you in a second, Heidi. You, on the day that your house burned down,
Right.
It was November the 9th?
Yes.
Okay. So there's certain planets mean certain things. So Mars, which rules fire, you had like 3 Mars transits in your chart. If you had gotten an astrology reading maybe a week before, we wouldn't have been able to figure out, oh, your house is going to burn down. But also Mars rules like heavy machinery. But I would have told you, be careful driving or something like that. But that burn on that day was in your chart, and it was square your Saturn, and Saturn rules your house. So it was really interesting to look at this stuff.
Crazy.
So I'm in the process of rebuilding. Should I rebuild?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, nice.
The thing of it is that you also having your Venus return, which means things come back all shiny and new.
All right. There you go. Rebuilding. There you go. I
Right.
like that. All I do is win.
Then there's Heidi.
Heidi, do you look like your mom?
Yes.
No.
Yes, you do.
You do.
You might show a picture of my dad.
You look like your mom too. It's a good
weird.
mix.
It is weird. But
Okay.
when somebody meets my mom, they'll go, "Oh my God, you look so much like your mom." But then they'll see my picture of my dad, and they'll go, "Oh my God." you
Yeah.
look just like
Did I
your
tell
dad."
you your mom looks like your dad? Whatever. Go ahead.
Okay. You're a Cancer ascendant.
Yes, she is.
Oh.
Ascendant, right?
Okay, because I'm a Libra.
Yeah, you're a Libra sun. The
So
sun
that's
was in
all I know.
Libra
That's
when
all
you
I
were
know.
born. The sun was in Libra when you were born.
Okay.
So the reason I asked if you look like your mom, there's a house in all our charts that rules the mother. Okay, the ruler of your ascendant has to do with how you look, is right next to that cusp. So I kind of figure you probably look like your mom, and I saw on Instagram or something that you have a lot of dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that Cancer ascendant is really that's because you're very nurturing. Why don't you have kids? You'll be a great mom.
No, well, thank you.
She's barren.
He probably knows all that.
Yeah, he's just. He's looking.
Yes, I'm a mom to many doggies.
Yes. Wait. There was something else. Hold on.
Oh, he's got papers.
Oh, yeah, look at these papers.
I know, man.
It's like
I was-
official.
Get the paper of
Doing
doom.
it.
That's what we want. The paper of doom, Heidi. Here we go. The bad news is.
No.
So here's the deal. I forgot to tell you that apparently this show, I don't see any issues with it slowing down or anything, but 2020, there could be something more for you in television. So I don't know if that means you guys are going to renew whatever you do, but there's something more coming that's going to put you more into the spotlight.
Heidi, those dance lessons are going to pay off.
Maybe I'll meet Oprah finally.
Maybe. And you were born with Venus and Scorpio.
What's that mean?
Oh.
Oh no.
No, it's not bad. You know,
I don't know anything.
Is that what
so-
makes lesbians?
no, Venus and Scorpio women are badasses.
Okay,
So,
good.
yeah.
That's so you.
are.
And look
I'm
at
a
her today.
badass. I'm
Then
Captain
you're dressed as
Marvel.
Captain Marvel, the
Works
most
out there.
badass woman of all.
Well, yeah, there you go. So,
Now, you also did a reading about things in the news, like all these fires going on right now.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you do a reading about something like that, like fires?
I got the chart of Los Angeles.
The chart. Okay, so what?
Which
Obviously,
there
a lot of people are concerned right now, or fearful. What can you give a reading about the fires?
Yeah, well, here's the deal, and I can't, you can't use this to be telling people the sky is falling because that won't be a good look.
Right.
But the sky is falling.
Oh.
Uranus, transiting Uranus, went into Taurus last year. Okay.
Someone peed in their car?
What?
No, it's Uranus.
Uranus, the planet, you're into the sign of Taurus. Taurus is very earthy. Uranus doesn't like to be there, and Uranus rules explosions, hurricanes, earthquakes. All of that stuff started to happen last year.
Yeah.
In 2018. So Uranus went in and then it backed out, and now it's in there for good. So I think it went in like January, and of course we had the bad fires July through November. So this is what I'll tell you guys. For the next week, it's still going to be pretty bad. It's going to ease up, but we're living in a different time now, and I don't know what to say about it. But and Uranus is going to be in Taurus for
Just
7 years.
tell us, give us the hard truth. What's going to happen now?
Well, we're going to keep having fires.
Yeah.
We are. And
Well,
right now it's inflamed
Uranus
because
moves in and not for good. You go moves in, moves out, moves in, moves out.
no, it retrograde. It went in back in January. It went
Right.
into Taurus. This is Taurus.
Right.
Uranus transits. It's moving through the sky. It went into Taurus.
For the fires July through November.
Yeah, and it backed out, and then it came back in.
Okay.
So it's back in permanently now. So it gave us a little taste back in
Yeah.
July of 2018. So it's in there permanently.
Would the
And
chart
right now,
show the other disasters like a quake? You know, we're waiting for the big quake.
well, that's
Is
all
there
a part
anything-
of it too. You remember those quakes we were having? That's a part of Uranus too. And I don't like to think about it. I live here too.
Yeah, right.
I don't like to think about that. And hey,
Are
now
you
that-
prepping though because of these charts? Because you've read the charts of earthquakes and fires. I mean, are you prepping for the end?
Honestly, no, because I don't think it's going to be. But look, people have been trying to, predict the end of the world forever. I'm not that guy. But what happens with astrology? It just reflects what's going on. We can see through the planets what's going on here. That's the whole point of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you also read Donald Trump's numbers.
Well, he's going to be impeached. But what's crazy is that election day, his transits aren't very bad. So that's scary to me. Joe Biden will be the Democratic nominee.
Okay.
But he'll lose to Trump because on election day he's got good numbers.
He has better. And today Mercury went into retrograde. It's going to square his Mars, Donald Trump's. So watch. He is about to go on TV and be crazy, even more crazy than he usually is. And he's going to end up somehow even more incriminating himself.
Now, when
Watch.
Sammy always mentions when stuff goes wrong around here, she's like, "Oh, Mercury's in retrograde," and we just all make fun of her for that. I don't know what that means. So
Well,
when you just said it too, so what is that? It's a real thing.
Well, it's the biggest transit that affects us collectively. So Mercury moves, so the planets move this way.
Yeah.
And Mercury goes this way. When it goes this way, we call that retrograde. Because Mercury rules communication, things around communication can
Technology
go awry.
and stuff. Phones are down.
Yes.
This isn't working.
Yes. The day Facebook went down a couple of months ago, it was right on, I can't remember the spot, it was right on an exact spot in Facebook's chart.
You know what I've noticed?
Sounds like an easy way to blame stuff on Mercury.
Well,
Poor Mercury.
I've noticed it happens sometimes driving around LA. There's one particular day when every single person on the road doesn't know how to drive. Like every 10 seconds, you're like avoiding a collision, or people change lanes without signaling, or they cut you off, or it's like there's certain days where everyone just forgets how to drive a car. Are the charts responsible for that? Like that's a bad day to be on the roads?
Well, the retrograde lasts for 3 weeks. So
Oh, and today's the first day of it?
first day. It won't go direct until November 20. Look, it's not like a bad luck time or anything. You just have to be careful. You have to watch who you text. Don't send your thought pictures or your dirty text to. You be sure you
For
look at the
3
name.
weeks, no DPs. Okay.
That's Mercury retrograde. If you talk about your coworker and you send the email, be sure you're sending it to the right one.
Oh, okay.
It's all about communication. It's all about technology and all of that kind of stuff. So
The Mercury in retrograde puts the gremlins in the system, right?
it does. It's kind of like if Mercury is the teacher and the teacher leaves the room and the class goes crazy. So that's a
We
good
got
way of
Psychic
putting it.
Wayne with us. He is he's not really a psychic, but he's called that because Sinbad gave him the name. But he's does astrology, and he reads charts based off your birth date, and
Fascinating.
your birth time, and the location of your birth, and just actually tell you basically read Heidi and on the show. I mean, damn near perfect. So I'm going to open up the phones now, and it says that you can actually do a tarot card reading just over the phone,
Right.
Just by hearing the person's voice, it affects the cards. So a lot of people are very interested. Been on hold for almost 30 minutes, and let's just go with Leslie. She's been on hold the longest, about 28 minutes. There's another number you can use. All right, Leslie, where are you calling from?
Ventura.
Calling from Ventura, and how old are you?
What's up?
B4.
And you're what'd you say?
84?
You're 84 years old.
No, that's 34.
Oh, 34.
34.
34.
And what's your birthday?
11/27/84.
All right, and you ever had your tarot cards read before?
I have.
Oh, so you're
All right. Okay.
Well, this one's free.
You're right.
Right?
Yes, we got Psychic Wayne over. He's got the cards. He's shuffling them.
Do you have a question for me? Because I just have like 30 seconds to give you an answer. So, you have a question for me?
Just I guess a general reading, if you can. I was wondering what kind of tarot cards you're using.
They're the Astoth. They're not a common deck. There's a deck that I like.
So do you want a love life question, a work question? Ask him something.
Let's do work.
Okay. Well, you spoke in general, and I already did it. Let's speaking here about
right.
about a worry around a relationship. You're 34, yeah?
Yes.
Do you have kids?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. You want more because they're speaking about a relationship and pregnancy. Do you want more?
What? Not really, but I guess it was one of those things. Is if it happens, it happens.
I think
I'm on the Marina, so.
I don't know what that is.
No, it's birth control.
Okay, well, there's another kid coming for you. You didn't ask me anything specific, so I'm just kind of gathering whatever they have to tell me. And they speak here also about a relationship, and then they talk about you having another kid. So did you want to ask something specific about that? What's going on with your relationship?
Well, me and my husband, we've been together for about 10 years. Last year, we had a breakup, the first time we ever encountered that, and we recently got back together, so.
Okay. Well, give me his first initial real quick, really fast. His first initial only.
Aye.
Let us see.
All right. He's shuffling the cards. He's dealing them.
Dealing.
I don't know what you call it. Do you call it dealing?
Fine, that's fine.
He's dealing tarot cards. And
Okay, yeah, there's a new
He's
beginning
sitting on
here.
a 16.
But you're worried that it's going to go back to the way that it was. All I can tell you is don't repeat the same patterns as before. You live every day worrying that it's going to break again. You got another chance for a reason, and there is definitely potential for this to be fixed. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be a lot better than it was. Let go of the bad patterns, please. Okay?
Okay.
Wayne, just a question, just informational. Did you get some sort of, I don't know not to use the word psychic, some sort of impression that hits you in your brain in a deep part of your consciousness where the answers come to you, or are the cards themselves saying what they would say to everyone else giving a tarot card read to this woman?
Oh, well, here's the deal. Some people will look at that and they'll explain each card. Oh, this card means it. I never did. I've been reading tarot cards since I was probably 12. So when I lay them out, it just kind of tells me a story. I don't know technically how it works, but, I just see it, and that just gives me.
Now, if
what's
somebody
going on.
wants to see you, like have a reading for themselves or a loved one, like you did with the show and all three of us,
Right.
what do they do? How do they find you to do that?
Sure. You go to my site at psychicwayne1.com.
The number one.
The number
The number one. You can also call me at 888-929-6307 or 888-WAYNE07. If you're driving, I don't want you to have an accident. We're in Mercury retrograde.
So just the website mostly.
888-WAYNE07.
We're also on Facebook as well, Psychic Wayne on Facebook, and on Instagram at Psychic Wayne1. So that's a lot of ways to get a hold of him. Thank you so much for reading the cards and giving us that wonderful news.
Yeah.
Thank
and
you
the
guys
news
for
that
having
the fires and everything are here to stay. So always remain prepared and be ready for when disaster might happen. All right. Thank you so much, Wayne. We have to take a quick break. It's time to crank it up on Halloween and get to work, people. We're Frosty, Heidi and Frank.